Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the AR-10 pattern, right? And one of the things we're going to be talking about is that there is no real AR-10, as far as I can tell, that's available on the market today. Okay, so there's no such thing as mil-spec AR-10. So each company kind of does whatever it wants. Okay, and generally definitely like the uppers and lowers from different companies generally do not match up well. Okay, and a lot of times the internals, right, like the bolts and stuff like that, the charging handles don't match up really well. Okay, so it is advised that, if you, whatever company you start off with, okay, and if you want to do any upgrades or get extra parts or whatever, stay with that company. Or if you're buying parts, like let's say like charging handles or bolts or whatever, from a different company, make sure it is compatible with whatever you have. Okay, so let's I want to go back a little bit to the beginning. All right, and I'm gonna share some information with you guys that I've been kind of like digging up over the last kind of year and a half. You know what? It's hard to get this information. All right, and if anybody has better information, more accurate information, if I make any mistakes, please put it in the comments below. Okay, because just to give you guys an example, I've gone as far as trying to email Palmetto, for example, on information with regards to the AR-10s that they offer, with regards to their lineage and the patterns and etc. And I haven't been able to get the information that I want. Okay, so it is hard to get this information. So as far as I can tell, right, the information I've been able to gather, right, AR-10 was originally designed by Eugene Stoner, right, and it predates the AR-15, right? That's why AR-10 has a lower number, okay? And what happened was he was working on it. The problem with the AR-10s is that they were kind of blowing up, okay? The AR-10, the original one, was designed to be a light gun. Basically, they were trying to put a 308 into pretty much the size of an AR-15 as we know it today, and it wasn't doing very well. Gun was blown up, so we basically said, okay, let's try a less powerful cartridge, right? So we went to basically started working with the 223. Eventually, that became the 5.56, and that was successful. It was adopted by the military, and we got this concept of the mil-spec AR-15, right? Where like, some, I don't know, 95% of the parts of, to buy an AR-15 today is kind of compatible with whatever the military is using, okay? And it's great because it's a Lego block system. Wonderful. I love AR-15s. But what happened with the Stoner, right? So basically, his company, the company he was working for, Armalite, okay, they sold the rights to Colt, okay, and basically Colt ran off with the AR-15, and at some later point, Eugene Stoner went to work for Knight's Armament, okay. So when he went to Knight's Armament, he went back to this AR-10 design that he had started off with, okay, and made some changes to it, some improvements, and he came up with something that he called the SR-25, okay, Stoner Rifle 25, and the way he came about with the 25 is he took the 10 of the AR-10 plus the 15 of the AR-15, combined, added the two numbers together, and that's how you get the SR-25. Okay, so he's working on that for some time. I think the most successful thing that came out of this was the magazines, right? Because if you go to buy AR-10 magazines today, right, and when I say AR-10, today we use the term AR-10 generically, okay? It's basically an AR-style gun that shoots 308s, okay? So that's what we mean today when we say AR-10. And again, like I said, each company kind of does its own thing. They're not cross-compatible. But Eugene Stoner basically develops this thing that he calls this AR-10, this AR-10 style gun that he calls the SR-25. And one of the things that he did was he redesigned the magazine from what he was originally using in his AR-10. And that's really the only thing that's kind of survived, because if you go to buy an AR-10 magazine, you'll see that it will say on it SR25/AR-10. So the SR25 magazine is really the one thing that's kind of survived from that point forward, and that we use today in most AR-10s. Okay, so Lockheed's that Knight's armament. And from what I understand, and again, if I'm wrong or if you got more information to add on this, put in the comments, right? Because it's not something that I've been able to find a whole lot of information on. He basically, from that point, he develops the M110, right? So he makes some further modifications, and he gets the M110, which the military adopts. And, you know, all of a sudden, like, AR-10s become really cool again, right? So, now, there's another company, right, called DPMS that, as far as I can tell, they're actually, like, back in the, like, around 2008 to 2010, I remember they were selling, they were a pretty good company. There was one of the more popular companies selling AR-15s, but they also had this AR-10 pattern, right? Again, not compatible with, directly compatible with anything that Stoner was doing. So they developed their own pattern, right, of, generic AR-10. And then Palmetto, and DPMS had actually a couple of generations. I think 1, 2, 3. I think Palmetto bought the rights or the license to the first pattern that they had. And the PA-10, which is what I have here, right, the Palmetto PA-10, right? You know, even though we generically refer to it as an AR-10, it's really a PA-10, right? So the PA-10, from what I hear, follows that first DPMS pattern, and supposedly the uppers and the lowers are compatible with the DPMS Gen 1 pattern. Okay, I never tried it. I have heard that there's some issues with some of the lines not matching up perfectly, so it's more a visual. I wouldn't bet money on that, right? So, I like, for example, if I had a DPMS Gen 1 lower, I would, let's say, you got nothing to lose. I would buy, let's say, the Palmetto Gen 3 upper. If it doesn't match up, if it doesn't work flawless, all I would do is I would just order a Palmetto lower, right? Because the lower is actually, it's only like $200. Okay, and that's with the stock. You know, the complete lower, the complete AR-10 lower is $200. So the best way, I mean, it's best not to have any issues. If you see that you're having any troubles, just get yourself a lower. It's cheap enough. You're gonna have a much more reliable gun rather than trying to mix and match, DPMS and whatever Palmetto's making. Now, from inside of Palmetto, right now, they've also they've got a second line of AR that shoots 308, right? And that's their Saber line. Okay, so as far as I can tell, the Saber line, right, the Saber AR-10 follows the M110/SR25 pattern. Okay, so if you look over here, right, where the upper and the lower meet, you'll notice that on the M110 and also on the Palmetto Saber line, where they meet over here, it's cut diagonal, right? So that's kind of a telltale sign of what you got. It's gonna be diagonal. So that's the Palmetto Saber line, AR-10 versus the PA-10, which has more of this curve over here. You know what? Let me separate the upper and lower so you can see this better. Okay, so you see how this has like a curve over here, right? So that's the PA-10. So the Saber line and the M110 is cut diagonally. It's a really sharp diagonal cut. Okay, so that's one of the things that you can kind of look at. Now, is, for example, the Palmetto Saber AR-10 compatible with Knight's armament M110? I do not know. if I was betting money, I would say no. Okay, just because different companies, I mean, I don't think it would be compatible. It might be, but I wouldn't expect it. Just because based on everything I've heard out there from people from other people reporting, trying to mix and match uppers and lowers from different companies, they most of the time they have problems, or maybe if they do get them to match up, they have reliability issues. Okay, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there because again, this is something that I had reached out to Palmetto trying to get information on this, and they never got back to me, and that's pretty typical of Palmetto. The way it works with Palmetto is like you order what you want online, they ship it to you. If you have a problem with it, right, you get an RMA and you ship it back to them, right, and you either tell them to refund it to you or to give you or exchange it. Okay, because I had ordered an upper at one point. It had like a mark on it or something, and I thought, you know what? I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's just a scratch. I mean, I scratch up my guns anyway. But you know what? God damn it, I'm going to send it back to them and let them replace it. Right? And that's exactly what happened, right? I got an RMA, sent it back, they sent me a replacement. That's usually the interaction you're going to get. If you start asking them for like information like I'm trying to get, you're not going to get this out of their like customer service people. If you happen to have a line into somebody that like really that works in the company at a higher level, that does maybe public relations or something, that's where you might get some of this information. You're not going to get these details from customer service. For them, it's like, okay, you got it. Is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, here's your RMA. Send it back, and tell us if you want a refund or if you want a replacement. Okay? So that's how that goes. That's how it goes with that company. I mean, it's a budget company. You get stuff. You get great deals. I got this AR-10 here, this 16-inch, $600. Right? It shoots 1 MOA groups. I've hit it at both 100 yards and 200 yards. 1 MOA, $600 gun. It was $200 for the lower, $400 for the upper. I mean, it is a great gun, okay, but you're not gonna get them to answer like details, okay? It's just not gonna happen. Okay? I mean, I got the gun, I like the gun, I enjoy shooting the gun, but that's as far as you're gonna go with that. So, so every company out there, right? They like if you like for example, a Ruger S-FAR, right? They have an AR-10 version that is a lot lighter than this. Okay, it charged more. Okay, but again, first of all, the bolt itself is a different. Like that bolt is not going to fit into this gun over here. This bolt is not going to fit into that gun. The charging handle is not interchangeable. Okay, I don't know about the trigger group. This one over here from Palmetto, it uses a mil-spec trigger group, mil-spec, buffer tube over here and stock. So some parts might be mil-spec compatible with an AR-15 until you know for sure. You don't know. The barrel on this, okay, it takes a mil-spec compatible gas block. Okay, so the gas block on this is 0.750. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. So that's good because that is like the most common, most popular, most common with your AR-15. So you can take, like this has an adjustable gas block. If you don't like it for whatever reason, you can buy any AR-15 compatible, 0.750 gas block. Throw it on this. It's going to work great. I actually went the other way for me because I liked the gas block on this so well. So it was working so good for me. What I did is I ordered the Palmetto adjustable gas block. I actually ordered because this is a what do you call it? It has 3 clicks per revolution for a total of like 17 positions, right? They call it 3 position, but it's actually 17 positions, right? Because it's 3 positions per rotation. So I get like it's 17 positions, but the last 2 don't click, so it's really 15 positions, which is still great. So it was working so good for me that what I did is I ordered I ordered the gas block from Palmetto to put on one of my AR-15s that was overgassed. Okay, and the one that they sold and was only $35 was the 5 position. Okay, So again, now that's 5 clicks per turn. So it was a total of 26 positions for like $35. Absolute steal, man. Excellent gas block. So here's a situation where, because the profile of the barrel is basically the same size as an AR-15 at .750, you know, I was able to get the gas block that was meant for this and put that on my AR-15, and that thing is like, it purrs. You know, I've got it gassed down. It's beautiful. Okay, so the point is that as far as the compatibility, you gotta like look at each part, and usually in the description they'll tell you what's mil-spec compatible, what's not. Okay, what's AR-15 mil-spec compatible, and what's not. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do with this when I first got it is I wanted to get an extra firing pin, all right, because firing pins break. Okay, so that was one of the things where I was having some issue with. Okay, what's the right size firing pin that will fit this AR-10? And again, I'm using AR-10 here genetically. Okay, so you basically gotta, you know, like, you know, I think I ended up going back to Palmetto, but it turns out that there's a bunch of companies, like that's one part that seems to be very common. So the important point here is that if you buy any parts for your AR-10, you got to make sure they're returnable if they don't work. Okay, so that's, you know, so I'm pretty sure I got it from Palmetto. If it didn't work for any reason, I would have been able to send it back. You know, like you can get it from Optics Planet because that's easy returns, no questions asked. You know, it doesn't fit. You know, basically they'll give you a shipping label, you can return it. So that's one of the important things with buying parts for your AR-10. Okay, make sure that they are returnable if they don't fit. The other thing I did is I got from Palmetto, when it went on sale, like $125, I got a complete bolt, right? Complete bolt carrier group, right, with the firing pin, with the bolt, with everything. Complete, you know, it was for $125 to $150 maybe. I don't remember exactly. It's worth having an extra bolt, especially if down the road, 10 years, 20 years down the road, they discontinue it. You want to have an extra bolt. Okay, so wherever you buy your AR-10 from, okay, get extra firing pin, get an extra bolt. Okay. But yeah, I want to share that information with you guys. Again, this is something I've been kind of like digging into, especially with the AR-10 compatibility. And yeah, there's like each company does its own thing. Like for example, if you go to Smith & Wesson, okay, they got an AR-10. Okay, that's not compatible with this. If you go to Springfield, they got an AR-10 version. That's not compatible with this. You may have some part, like for example, if they have a mil-spec trigger group, yeah, that's going to be compatible because that's a mil-spec AR-15 trigger group. Okay, but unless, so that seems to be where they're tying back to. Okay, so the different parts on this are either, you know, mil-spec AR-15 compatible, or they're just not compatible at all. Okay, but anyway, I wanted to also, you know, I wanted to highlight, because a lot of times people have asked me, you know, can I get like Saberline upper and PA-10 lower? And as far as I can tell, I'm 99% sure the two are not going to be compatible. Okay, because the Saberline AR-10, okay, it seems to have the M110 diagonal cut. Okay, versus the PA-10, which I have here, has the rounded cut where the upper and the lower match. And I'm sure it's more than just the cut. I mean, they did that so that you can't try to force the two parts. If you were to, let's say, take a Dremel or something and you try to force the two, you know, cut the two pieces so that and force them to fit each other, the gun's probably still not going to work. Okay, you know, just different sizes, etc. Okay, so I thought that information was worth getting out there, even though I don't have all the information on this. It's not complete because, you know, it's just not out there. You know, you know, and if you guys know better, again, please put it in the comments because I'd love to fill in a lot of the gaps. But this is a great gun, man. I mean, for the $600, man, one MOA groups, you know, yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I have no inclination, right? Absolutely no inclination to go and buy a more expensive AR-10. Okay. Absolutely none. Okay, like for example, like the more expensive Saberline that Palmetto offers, Why? Is it going to be more accurate? Is it going to be lighter? What's it going to do for me, right? And the only thing is that it's more military M110 like, okay, and that's really an appearance thing, I think, more than anything else. Quite honestly, I think that the PA-10 is better because of that highly adjustable gas block, okay? Has a lot more gas positions, and one of the issues that you're going to run into with AR-10s, right, that shoot 308 is that 308 comes in very wide variations, okay? Like I've seen variations as much as like in the same size barrel as much as like 800 foot-pounds, okay, between like cheap like one brand of 308 ammunition and another brand of 308 ammunition. I've seen very wide variances, like approaching 800 foot-pounds. So that's going to create different recoil, and the bolt is going to move back. You know, it's going to take a different amount of it's going to produce a different amount of pressure for moving that bolt back. So you really need a highly adjustable gas block. That's one of the, I think, the most important things for having a reliable AR-10. You need a highly adjustable gas block. Now, with the military, let's say M110, for one thing, I think that it's not on the barrel. It doesn't say 308. It says 7.62 by 5.1 NATO. Okay, so with that, there's less variance. Okay, so basically with the military, like they tune the guns to shoot one specific type of ammunition. Okay, that's not going to work for me. I mean, I shoot whatever I get on sale. Okay, and most of you guys are going to shoot the same. You're not being supplied by the military with free ammunition where you're going to tune the gun to whatever you're given for free, right? Because if somebody was giving me free ammo, like if somebody was giving me like pallets full of free ammo, yeah, absolutely, I would tune my gun to that ammunition. But I'm not getting pallets full of free ammunition. I get whatever I get on sale, and I need to make sure that my gun is tunable to whatever ammunition I happen to be shooting. Okay, so I think that is the right mindset for you to have. So buy an AR-10, make sure it has a highly adjustable gas system. Okay, so thanks for watching. Drop some comments. I'll talk to you all soon.